Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are here at Meet the Candidates. I am Leslie Graves, co-chair of Sonoma County 2020 Women's Suffrage Project, and your moderator for this evening. Welcome to the 19th Amendment Centennial Series of online events, August 18th through the 26th, celebrating the centennial of the 19th Amendment and women's right to vote, while also acknowledging that many people in the United States are still disenfranchised and denied their full voting rights. We are just 71 days away from the November 3rd general election. Up and down the ballot throughout the nation and here locally, there are more women and women of color running for elected positions. During this historic time, we are fighting a global pandemic, taking to the streets throughout the nation to challenge systems of racism and calling for change. Our national political stage is like nothing we have ever experienced before. And here locally and throughout California, unfortunately, we are breaking records with natural disasters, such as the current fires. Our hearts go out to all of those people that are displaced, and we have much gratitude for those that are joining us. From my research here locally, history may be made in Sonoma County this election season. If one or more of our guests tonight win their respective race for city council, it appears that we have never had a Black woman serve in this elected position here locally in Sonoma County, in any of our cities. So this is truly a historic time, and I do thank all of our panelists for taking on the challenge of running for city council. Tonight, we are extremely fortunate to be joined by 4 women who are running for their city council seats in their respective Sonoma County cities and in districts. I would like to introduce you to them, so I'll be saying a few words about each of our panelists and our candidates. Then I will dive into a few of our questions and then open it up to the public. If you would like to ask a question of our candidates, please do so online on Zoom or Facebook. So we'll start now with Jackie Ellward, candidate for Rohnert Park City Council District 4. Hi, Jackie.
Hi.
Originally from the Democratic Republic of Congo and now a citizen of the United States, she is a proud mother of 3, wife of Ryan, who is your biggest supporter, I know, and California Democratic Party delegate in District 3 of Sonoma County. She also started and runs her own nonprofit near her own hometown that takes care of children. So she has a big heart as well. And now for Schuyler Palacios. Hi, Schuyler.
Hi.
Schuyler is a candidate for Healdsburg City Council. She was raised in Healdsburg, and she is an alum of Healdsburg High School, Santa Rosa Junior College, and Sonoma State University. She has also been Miss Sonoma County. Is that true, Schuyler?
Yes.
Oh, that is great. I love the Miss Sonoma County pageant and that title. So I think that it does wonderful things in our area and is just fantastic. You're also a dancer, and you love to work with children, I read on your website. We're going to learn a little bit more about you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We also have Natalie Rogers, a candidate for Santa Rosa City Council, District 7. She's also a graduate of Sonoma State University, holds a master's in marriage and family therapy, runs a private practice as a licensed marriage and family therapist, and works as a therapist part-time in Sonoma County for the actual county of Sonoma. She's a mom of a blended family with 8 children, and 5 of which are at school age, with her wonderful husband, Andre. Natalie, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we're joined this evening by another candidate. If you saw some of our promotional materials, you would have seen Jackie, Schuyler, and Natalie on them. And tonight, at the last second, such an amazing human being to be with us, being a great sport, jumping in. It is another candidate right here in Santa Rosa for Santa Rosa City Council District 5, Azmina Hanna. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Leslie. That's wonderful. Given the last minute nature of things, do you want me to tell you a little bit about myself?
I actually have a couple little things, and then we'll jump into questions.
Sure. Trying to help save time.
So, as I saw that you were born and raised in Santa Rosa, right here in the downtown area, or what we now call our new District 5. This will be the first year that we're voting on District 5 City Council seat. You graduated from Santa Rosa High School. You also are an alum of Howard University, and you work in communication and design. You credit growing up in Santa Rosa for preparing you for the world. I'm jealous. I don't think I'm prepared for the world because I didn't grow up in Santa Rosa. So you got one up on me there. And for teaching you the value of home. So thank you. Thank you again. Thank you to all of our candidates. I want to let you know that we have quite a few participants online, so I'll be keeping an eye on that before we go to our chat. But I want to ask a question. I think I will actually start with you, Schuyler. I want to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are running for City Council.
So I am 25 years old, which people are like, oh, you're so young, which is the same age Mike McGuire ran and was elected as city council. And I'm running because I have lived in Healdsburg all my life, so about 18 years. I was born in Petaluma, moved to Windsor for a little bit, but Healdsburg is definitely where I've spent most of my time. And I've seen a lot change in my life. I was here before Healdsburg Hotel and a lot of now what are normal institutions before those were established here. And I just see the culture changing a lot. And there's a really big, not only economic reliance on tourism, but also just like a cultural shift. And I'd like to see us dial it back and kind of balance things out a bit and remember what's truly important, which is our residents and the way we engage with each other. A big part of why I'm also running is I don't think I would be running if it wasn't for the Black Lives Matter movement. It definitely encouraged me to put myself out there, and seeing my community backing the movement really encouraged me to feel like I was accepted in my community, because growing up, there are definitely times, and even still, I just had a microaggression incident happen to me a few days ago, but there are times where I don't feel a part of my community. And I think why this is the perfect fit for me is because growing up, when I felt the most a part of my community was when I was giving back to it. So that was really ingrained in me. Growing up, my mom would take me to pantries and all kinds of things like that and volunteer. So I'm really about giving back to my community and being there for my community. And because we're in such a strange time and such a critical time, I really feel like my voice is needed. And not only would I be the first Black Latino woman on City Council, but I would also be the only person that has been raised in Healdsburg on City Council. And I feel like very, very valuable perspective, especially right now.
Thank you. So many important points right there, hearkening back to the Black Lives Matter movement and the protests that have been happening throughout the summer. And I know Healdsburg was affected. You had a mayor that resigned due to saying a few things that the community really was outspoken that was not appropriate, and made way for another person. And I think that was the first time that I saw you. You were actually interviewing for that open city council seat once that resignation happened. So I'm very, very proud that you are still going for the city council seat and putting your hat in the ring for the election. So thank you so much for your time and your energy to do that. And I want to give each of our candidates time to answer that question, especially why you are running for city council. And I do want to be observant of our time and give our public and our attendees some time to ask questions. If you'd like to ask questions, remember to do so by using the chat function on Zoom or making a comment on Facebook. I'll be able to get those as well. So Natalie, on to you. Can you tell us a little bit why you're running for city council? It's historic, District 7, Santa Rosa. I don't think that we've had representation out there on that west side of Santa Rosa. So tell us why you're running.
Definitely to represent District 7, but also I believe that the leadership in Sonoma County needs some diversity. And now more than ever, we really need to step up and be represented at the table in order to have a voice. So as not only a woman, but as a Black woman, I think it's important that I have the opportunity to do that. In my personal life has provided me the opportunity to do that. So I think the diversity part, we're kind of stunted in a lot of ways because many people are struggling just to pay their bills and to work and, raise their families, and a big family I do have. But I now have the opportunity to run financially, and I think that I'm just going for it. I'm putting it out there. I'm going for it, and I have a passion for change and for serving our community. So I'm letting the world see it, and we'll see what happens come November 3rd.
That's great. That's great. Having your voice heard and being seen, what a great way to continue the theme of, really making sure that in America and here locally in Sonoma County that we're all better represented. So thank you again. And Azmina, I want to jump up to you and see if you can let us know why you're running. I know we chatted just a little bit earlier today, and I believe you told me that it was just a few minutes before the deadline to get in all of your paperwork that you turned it in, and that's a scary proposition sometimes for people, but it seemed like you were super confident in making that happen. So why are you running District 5 for the Santa Rosa City Council seat?
Well, one of the things that really got me was the fact that I feel like I'm pretty aware of things, and I didn't even know I was in District 5. Okay. And I started talking to folks, and they didn't realize they were in District 5 either. So it's really a lack of awareness that really, and lack of transparency, in my opinion, where it's really come to a head in District 5. Now, we talk about districts like it's a sci-fi movie in a sense, but District 5 is our heart of downtown. We have 6 historic districts. I grew up in Santa Rosa. I didn't just grow up here. I mean, we had pheasant fields. We would chase my dog through the fields, to get my golden retriever back, and we had wildlife. There's so much development in my life. Places like Imwali Gardens are still around, but I grew up walking to Andes. I grew up going to Franco-American to be able to pick up some bread. My mom's making sure I get the day-old bread. Here's a couple quarters, you go. But these are like legacy businesses, and these key aspects and our cultural assets of our community are really in danger. And it's not just that. We have homeowners that specifically buy historical homes. Their home values drop when we have development go up. Things that tear down old buildings are not always, the best place for alternatives to traffic. Most importantly, I say there's development happening here, pending at Mendocino and College. That's a little challenging for homeowners and property owners in that area. And that's, as we know, especially after our recent protests and things, that is a key entry point to our downtown. But you asked me why I get into the race. I kept it off my bio. I kept in my outward things. But in 1992, I was accepted to Howard University, and probably in the springtime, I think I received my acceptance letter to the College of Allied Health. At the time, I wanted to, I was like a 4-sport athlete. I wanted to go into physical therapy, and You get this beautiful acceptance letter. You're accepted into the college. Would you like to attend? And right around the same time was the Rodney King verdict with the LAPD officers getting off. So being at Santa Rosa High School, it was the first time I got to see classmates, people I've known my entire life, hopping into the backs of pickup trucks with Confederate flags. And for me, it was just heartbreaking. I'd never really taken sides. I didn't have to be black. I'm very conscious of myself, and I know who I am. And it was just really heartbreaking to see that. And now fast forward to, this spring with all the young folks in the streets and protesting and feeling so strongly about things. For me, Howard was a point of guidance. I had a lot of fuel in my heart and just, I was just really confused. And I was able to hop on a plane and fly out to Washington, D.C. Almost, right after graduation and start a new life. And I never had good riddance in my heart, but the fact that this was the avenue that was perfect for me at that time. It channeled my passion into something greater. I thought I was going into banking. I wound up going into art direction. But, these things, like, you grow as an individual, and it's all about learning and being open to learning. And I hope that that's something that I can bring to the young people that feel so many different ways. And it's just the children of our community, in that sense, that everybody's fired up. These are crazy times. Just yesterday, I asked a young lady how she's feeling. She's like, I don't feel good at all. I was like, well, I don't either, but, we're going to get through this. And, we have to come together as a community. And I think because this is a nonpartisan position, we have a great opportunity to really refine our beliefs in our town. And because Santa Rosa is a town.
Azmina, thank you for that.
I can go on and on. Yeah. You got me at the last minute. What am I going to do?
That's okay. I know I want to make sure that I have enough time for everybody to answer the questions. I want to get to a couple of them, but I do hear you, and I acknowledge hearkening back to those a little bit simpler times and making sure that some of that, our culture and our history stays here in Santa Rosa. So I heard you loud and clear on that.
District 5 is our downtown. That is the heart and soul of our community. We have history, and we have to believe in that.
Thank you. Yeah. And we'll go on to Jackie, and you're running for Rohnert Park, District 4. And you are our most experienced candidate tonight. You have run in 2018 and then went on to become a California Democratic delegate for Sonoma County and take on the challenge once again to run. So can you tell us a little bit about why you're running in Rohnert Park, District 4?
Yes. Before going into that, I wanted to point out a few things that wasn't put there really quickly. My husband and I met while he was doing mission work back in my country, and I was attending a theology school. We got married in 2003, and I believe I'm the only immigrant in the group. And I'm proud to say that immigrant brings such great thing in this country, and I believe in Sonoma. And I'm naturalized citizen 10 years later, and I speak 6 languages, 4 which are African languages, and 2 French and English. The reason why I'm running is I am someone that like to be involved. I like to bring change in people's life, good change. And when you talk about changing, a lot of people like to talk about change, but none of them actually want to be that person that brings the change because they're afraid of the challenge. It is hard being a woman of color and stepping into a place that we know it's predominantly white. It is a challenge to take. I've put my kids through, racial slurs and all of that. But my goal is to bring the change and to teach people, to educate them, to learn about diversity, because we need new voices. And I always said, if you want to be the change, you have to be the change. So you have to be. And I believe in better representation. In better representation. I mean, my opponent have been in place for 24 years, and I have much respect for him. But when you look at our town, our city, you can see that there's no representation. And the same people, the same families have been in power for decades. We need a new change. We need new voice. And I'm ready to bring that voice. And I know that my voice will be refreshing, will be something that a lot of people, a lot of young people that have been contacted me to say, don't give up, keep running because we look up to you. This is something that keep me running and keep me pushing toward representation in my town.
Well, thank you, Jackie. So I am hearing from multiple candidates that representation is very important, and also having your voice heard, and that voice being one that also represents different constituents that have historically maybe not been heard or seen in our cities, in our county. So thank you all. It is a huge step to avail yourself to become a candidate for a city council position. You will be asked a lot of questions, and also there will be some reflective moments, like one of our community members here that is watching right now and attending said that it's sad that you may all be the first, having that title of the first. We want to break those glass ceilings and get past all of these firsts within our history, and also says on to you, thank you for running, and thank you all for being here. So the public is listening. We have over 30 attendees here on Zoom. And I want to move on to another question. And this goes right to your city, and talking about a biggest challenge or a biggest strength in your respective city or in your district. So speaking right to your constituents, Natalie, what would be your biggest challenge in District 7 for Santa Rosa? And then follow that up with your biggest strength. And I'm just going to give you, keep in mind that I'm just going to give you a couple minutes here to do this. So, and I'll be reminding all the candidates of that. I know it's really hard to stay within a time frame, and I apologize for having to say that out loud. So, but Natalie, let us know strengths and challenges.
So, strengths, I would say the ability to work together. So it appears to me that the city council that we currently have in Santa Rosa have the ability to work together despite having different political viewpoints. So I am actually very excited to join such a team. As far, also, PG&E money would be a strength that we have right now. Anytime you have extra money and you need to figure out where to allocate it, I think that would be a strength, especially at the times that we're currently looking at. That leads me into our weaknesses. I would say COVID economic recovery. Even since I started the campaign, I don't think anyone knew how long COVID was going to go. And now I'm like, oh, this is like on the top of my list of things that we really need to work on is economic recovery. We need to bring money into Santa Rosa. We need to make sure that everyone continues.
And I do believe for those that are watching that Natalie's online presence.
Housing, how do we help?
Natalie, you did cut out just a little bit right there. We did catch that you were talking about the COVID economic recovery and housing as two of the challenges. I want to make mention that Zoom was having some difficulties earlier today. I believe they've gotten past all of those difficulties, but as more and more people go online, we're definitely always challenged with some of our Wi-Fi connectivity. That could be one of our challenges in all of our cities, but I think that we're doing pretty good. And was there anything you wanted to add to that? COVID, economic recovery, and housing is what we caught. Okay, so we're going to go to Azmina. Would you like to give us?
So yes, okay. Homelessness.
Oh, you're okay. Natalie, I think you're going in and out, just so you know. But I caught that homelessness too. So we're going to move on to Azmina for your biggest challenges and strengths in District 5 in Santa Rosa.
Well, since District 5 is exactly what you see when you arrive in Santa Rosa, I think a lot of folks can pretty clearly tell you what the challenges are. We have had homeless encampments. We're going through all of the neighborhoods in addition to all of underneath the bridges. There have been strong efforts to have the homeless people housed in different areas, still in District 5. Encampments, still in District 5. So my opinion of that is that we have a very large city. I just don't feel like everything has to be in the heart of Santa Rosa. We have a very large city, and we have the capacity to spread the love, in a sense, and work together to solve our challenges. We need to know where people are coming from. Are these local homeless individuals, or are people coming in from other counties and other states? I'm sure people have heard many different things, especially when the buildup happened after 1 day and 2 days and 3 days and a week and a month. And, so it was a little frightening for residents in these areas. Security camera sales are going up, print sales are going up, and this is the heart of our city. This is how we sell the Sonoma County wine country. So I hate to take a marketing approach, but we do have to sell our town. You can have a postcard one way, but when you get off our main exits, we have to present ourselves another way. And we have some very, interesting projects in the works. We're breaking ground in 2021, I hear, right in the heart of St. Rose Historic District. I love old architecture. I'm a big fan of historic preservation. So some things are challenging, in my opinion, and take away from our cultural assets. And those are part of the things that add value to our town and make Santa Rosa a city worth investing in. And that's keeping our businesses thriving. We can't continue to do things that take away from the value of what we have to offer. We are the city in the seat of the wine country. We have historical value. Sonoma County has historical value. We have to keep that in mind. And sadly, we have to sell our city to be able to get business to feel comfortable, other businesses, investing in us instead of people wanting to move and send everything off to Texas. So we want people
our strength and a strength would be?
Oh, strength. We are, we're a resilient town. We face, right now, we're facing fires just to the north and to the east. And still we carry on. It is within us. We have intelligent people here that are residents and our property owners, people that have gone off to college and come back and done great things here in town. We just have to tap our natural resources, our people, and do a better job with HR, I think, in terms of getting people into positions. We shouldn't have to look outside of the county, outside of the state to get people to work when we have people that are unhoused and unemployed.
And thank you for that. So I heard you talk about the challenges being homelessness as well as just kind of that outward appearance and the strength of our community and our resources right here. With people. So,
but one other thing I would add as a strength is we actually do have really good law enforcement here. I have lived in 3 different metropolitan cities, and our guys and our ladies and men supporting us in doing code enforcement as well. We think it's all just law enforcement, but the code enforcement they go into precarious situations, and it's not something I would sign up for. And we trust them with our lives and to keep us safe and do things that go above and beyond, much like our firefighters. And I believe they need support.
Thank you for that. Jackie, I would like to ask you that question around challenges and strengths for District 4 in Rohnert Park. And if, for those folks that are seeing me kind of look down while folks are answering, our candidates are answering those questions, I want you to know that I am paying all my attention, as well as paying attention to the chat. I am your tech person tonight, as well as your moderator. So I'm taking care of everybody, and very happy and very proud to be here doing that. Jackie, challenges and strengths.
So I would like to start with happy things, the strength of my community. Rohnert Park, it's a planned community. Lots of families, lots of schools, lots of parks that children can go and use all the time. Also, it is a good place to raise a family, and that's why I moved here at the first place. And that is the strength of my family, of my town, because the way the city was built, it was to have a good place to raise your family. On the other hand, the challenges that we will have, like everybody else now, it's about housing. We are really concerned about our constituent because of COVID, now the fires. A lot of people will be losing their home, their jobs, and the homeless population. We're gonna have to face with all of that, and we need to start somewhere. Housing people will be our first step. People that work here, that live here, we need to keep them here. We need them to be able to invest here and stay here. And with COVID, with everything, it will be really challenging. The second thing will be, for the challenge that I see in my town, we don't have a downtown. In 2018, when I ran, that was the biggest thing that every candidate was fighting for, the downtown. But we don't have it. 2 years later, there's no downtown. And we need a main hub to center our city around. We don't have it. And that is one of the challenges that we have. So the other thing that I see a challenge in my town is, I stated earlier, a lot of people that are in power, the people that are running our city, have been there for decades. And it is hard to have different opinion when you have the same people running the city. So when you are in power for so long, you become complicit and forget about the real needs and the people in the city. And that's what we have right now. So for me, these will be the biggest challenge that we will have. My town, especially the people in my district, will have to face. I mean, the citywide, that will be much more, because in the A and B section, we have a problem of infrastructure. The streets there are not great. So my other, there's another candidate that is running there. That will be the challenge that they will have. And we have the university district, which they have their own challenges. So when it comes to my side of the town, these will be the things that I'm gonna have to be dealing with. And I deal with that now, but I'm not in charge of the city.
Not yet. All of you are on your way to having that elected position. It is quite a feat. Like I said before, I want to remind everybody that we're here at Meet the Candidates, where we do have 5 candidates that are running for city council seats throughout Sonoma County and their respective cities and their districts. None of these candidates are running against each other. So this is not being held as a debate type of a forum. It is simply a meet the candidates where each candidate will have time to answer questions. And next is Schuyler. We haven't heard from you for a little while. You had the first question, you were up first, and now we are coming to you with this question around challenges and strengths for Healdsburg. So, and this is an open seat, no districts in Healdsburg just yet. So what would you say your challenges and your strengths are for the city of Healdsburg as you're stepping in for a potential council seat?
Yes, with everything going on right now, there's definitely a lot of challenges, and some of our challenges are part of our strengths as well. Right now I'm thinking about the fires and how it's mostly outside of the city limits, but people are losing their homes, and so that relates not only to the environment, how are we going to take care of our environment, but also with housing. How are we going to fulfill the needs for housing with people losing their homes? And most likely, I would assume I will talk to definitely more people after things settle down, but that they would want to stay around Healdsburg. So how are we going to provide housing for them? I know some things we need to do more within rezoning for multifamily housing, within rezoning for denser housing. And actually, our community housing committee is defunct right now, so I would definitely be interested in restarting it as soon as possible. Right now, they're planning to start it in the spring of 2021, but I think with everything that's going on, we really need to think about restarting it here. And in addition to that, housing is actually one of our strengths as well, because we have done a lot that many other cities have not done for housing. We have bought apartment complexes and refurbished them and kept them restricted and things like that aren't really as common in other cities. So while we have done a lot of work, it's like there's just so much work to be done still, and just trying to find ways to address that as soon as possible, because it's an urgent situation. And with housing also comes homelessness, which I haven't seen come to the forefront of issues as well. So I'd really like us to think of that as more of an urgent issue. Our economic diversity, definitely a big challenge. We do need a lot on tourism and wine, which is amazing. It's part of our culture. I work in the industry. I love the industry. And we've really done it we've established ourselves on a global level. So it's like we've excelled in wine and tourism. And so I think we're in a place where we need to uplift those businesses to make sure they're still afloat and still run appropriately. At the same time, see this as an opportunity to diversify our economy and try to bring other industries in, so that when things like this, when fires happen, when pandemics happen, that we have more legs to stand on versus just tourism, because obviously with all this going on, people aren't going to want to visit Healdsburg, unfortunately, so much. So thinking about that.
And Schuyler, I want to, and I'm not really quite sure, but usually I can only hear the person who's talking, and I'm going to go ahead and have everybody mute while Schuyler is talking. There's some background noise that is making it sound like you're a little bit in an echo chamber that has waves crashing. It's quite beautiful, but it's a little, it does sound a little distracting, and we've had a couple comments from folks about the feedback, and so I just want to make sure that they heard that you were talking about how your challenges and strengths sometimes are very similar. Right now you have the challenges of the fires and home loss because of people being displaced due to the fires, and that being tied into the environment, as well as housing issues in general being both strengths and weaknesses. Healdsburg has done quite a bit to have housing issues being addressed, but you talked about the urgency of that. And although homelessness may not be as visible as some of the other cities in the county, that always addressing those issues for those people that are in that realm in Healdsburg, not turning a blind eye and hoping to address and create diversity in the economic forefront, especially coming out of COVID. So I'm going to have you just wrap up really quickly, like maybe within 20 or 30 seconds, just so we can test that microphone and the sound once again. If you have any fans on or a background app, that might be good to turn off as well. So thanks everybody for alerting me to that. And I love the waves, but we'll try to keep that sound down from that. So Schuyler, wrap it up for me.
Okay. Definitely one of our biggest strengths is just our natural beauty, which ties into the environment again. I truly believe Healdsburg is one of the most beautiful places, if not just California, but possibly the world. So I really have a lot of pride for my city. And then, again, one more challenge that I would like to address is with the fires and the environment and everything. We have vineyard workers sometimes working in the smoke. In unhealthy conditions. So I'd really like us to address not only that issue, but just the overall issue of cultural awareness and making sure that everyone in our community is valued, especially those who uplift our economy.
The problem with muting is that then we have to remember to unmute. So thank you for that. And I'm not seeing too many other questions coming in from the public, but I do want to give you all, and when you're not answering a question, Hanna has already put her website on the chat. If you would like to key in your websites for those that are watching and listening on the chat function, please, all panelists, if you would like to do that, would be great. I'll give you a couple minutes at the end as well to say those websites and contact information out loud too, because we want to hear your beautiful voices. Another question, and we will start this question with Azmina, and we'll remember to just keep this to a minute to 2 minutes for the answer. But Azmina, can you tell us what your thoughts are on the current public outcry around issues of police reform and defunding the police? I hearken back to your answer earlier that you said one of the strengths of Santa Rosa District 5 and Santa Rosa in general were our police force. So I'm going to start this question off with you. Your thoughts on the current public outcry around issues of police reform and defunding the police?
Well, as I mentioned also, one of the catalysts for my leaving Santa Rosa in the first place in 1992 was the change. It was the effect of, seeing the Rodney King police officers being acquitted, and the effect that it had on my classmates, and the effect that the way that it polarized the town that I love. This was so long ago, Schuyler. You missed a good part. But Santa Rosa, I loved it. I loved growing up here, and I loved. I can't think of many memories of my childhood that I didn't enjoy here, and I think that was a really moving part for me. And then I moved to Washington D.C., which was the murder capital of the world. I'll keep it to a minute. I'm sorry, Leslie, but it was the murder capital of the world at the time. And I was completely immersed, coming from Santa Rosa, where it was very multicultural at the time, much different than now. I was completely immersed in Black culture. Black people falling out the windows, left, right, everybody was together. And so I would have friends that were getting beat up by police. I would have classmates, this is in Washington, D.C. And, I've had friends, unfortunately, that were murdered by police. In their driveways. I'm very familiar with the narrative. And to say that we have a fine force in Sonoma County says a lot. When I call, they come. I've had challenges here, and I haven't had any negative experiences. I'm not representative of everyone, but to maintain our order in our town, people don't even pick up trash anymore. We have to have a conversation that's balanced and not in where we respect our police, but we're open to change as well. And I feel that it is important when somebody is trespassing and busts through somebody's back door in the middle of the night, that our officers who don't have to be police officers get the support that they need, so that when we call, they're there. These guys, I mean, men and women that I've encountered, they're fantastic. And they're doing a job that they don't have to do. And we have to remember that's what's special about our country, is that we have a voluntary military, we have a voluntary police force. People can quit anytime. So. Well, now I lost your audio.
Well, see, there you go. The moderator has to remember to
Oh, God, I'm muting myself.
Azmina, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for muting. I appreciate that. I will try to do better. I'm going to move on now to Jackie. Can you let us know what your thoughts are on the current public outcry around issues of police reform and defunding the police? Thank you.
So the one thing is, I am for the public outcry. And also I am for a police reform. So we have to understand that it's really touchy subject when we talk about, the reform, the people, because it doesn't only affect the police, it also affects the people that are marginalized. So when we talk about the two things, we have to be careful, because we don't want to be so extreme to the way that we lose track. What I'm trying to say is, we need to maintain jobs and wage for police officers and still divert funding to social services and reach out homeless people, because we do need money for that. We do need those officers out there. And also, we do need fund for mental services. We do need those funds. In my town, Roanoke Park, it's really special, because Roanoke Park is one of the few city, I think it's like the second city, I believe, that has the police and the fire department combined together. So we have to be careful of how, especially me, how I'm gonna present. I'm not just gonna go and say defund the police. Well, if we defund the police, what if they take the money from the firefighters? We still need the firefighters. What if they take the money from the police department? Well, we still need the police department. So for me, in my town, I need to make sure that we have to fight. I've been really vocal about this. We have to have an oversight committee, and that oversight committee that we will have the community and some people in our police department or law enforcement to work together. I want to be that bridge to bring those two communities together. As a woman of color, I want to make sure that I am not profiled out there. But how can I not be profiled out there if I come in as attacking those ones that I see come after me? So we need to have, I always say, I have to be that bridge that will bring that peace. It's like being in a marriage where you come with your behavior, the other person come with their behavior. You have to blend together. Blending and coming and raising a family, that mentality, that background. We need a reform in our police department. That is something that we do need, because our public safety has been known, that is not a secret, for having a lot of misconduct. So by forming that oversight committee that will have the community and some people in the law enforcement to come together and talk about what will be next for our city, public safety will be the best. I am not coming after the police. I am not anti-police, because once you become anti-police, then you make that bridge also for fixing the problem. So we need to be able to acknowledge that we need the police, but we need to build a bridge with our community, and reform, and have a reform and a community oversight that will make that transition possible.
Thank you, Jackie. I appreciate that. And so I hear that loud and clear. So, and I want to make sure that we have enough time for our other candidates on this question. It is such a hot button topic right now. It's, something that has been thrust into the forefront and probably should have been dealt with hundreds of years ago, as far as an issue and a solution around this issue. So moving on right now, I'd like to skip over to Schuyler. Remember, Jackie, to mute while Schuyler unmutes, getting ready to answer this question around your thoughts on the public outcry around the issues of police reform and defunding the police. And I know it's so hard to watch your time. At this point, we are at 6:24. Zoom will not kick us off. We can go a little bit long. We're going to be fine. No bells and whistles will go off. So if you can continue with us out there in the public, you're at Meet the Candidates, a 19th Amendment Centennial event. And we're talking right now to Schuyler Palacios, running for Healdsburg City Council, and her thoughts on current public outcry around issues of police reform and defunding the police. Thanks, Schuyler.
So I'd like to start off with saying that I do believe Healdsburg Police Department specifically is doing a great job, and I have felt supported by the police department in the past. At the same time, and in addition to that, the police department has actually already taken a step to hire social officers, 2 social officers versus regular police officers. So I'm really proud of my city for considering that and putting that into action immediately. I was pretty pleasantly surprised. At the same time, I do recognize that it's an issue, and it has actually personally affected me. My mother had an incident of assault, and the way that the police handled it was not appropriate. They did give a presentation at the city council and discussed it, which was also a little bit iffy because it is an open case right now in court. And so the amount of information that they disclosed at that city council meeting, I don't believe was appropriate for an open case, and may have gone against the Brown Act. So it's just this interesting dynamic of like, yes, I support our police. Again, as Jackie was saying, I support our police. Definitely, I've felt supported by our police. And at the same time, I recognize that there definitely needs to be oversight. So I would be in favor of things like ILRO, and I appreciate how our community is already doing things to try to balance out and make our police more accountable. So yeah, it's definitely just a tricky dynamic, but our police are necessary, and I think in Healdsburg especially, we're doing a good job, but accountability is really necessary.
Thank you, Schuyler. And you mentioned right there a term that I more than likely our public that are listening in right now are acquainted with, but ILRO is there's an ordinance right now that is on the ballot countywide for more oversight of our county police, or the sheriff and that department. So that is something, a whole nother topic, but it ties into this one really well. So thank you for bringing that up. And that will be on our November 3rd ballot initiatives for the entire Sonoma County. So thank you for that. Remember to mute, and I'm going to move on to Natalie. And thank you, Natalie. You are on top of it. Jackie earlier talked about the police and the public and elected officials and everybody kind of being in a marriage, and you're a marriage and family therapist. So you have another approach to this, or thoughts that you'd like to share with us on the current public outcry around issues of police reform and defunding the police as it affects Santa Rosa, District 7 and Santa Rosa citywide.
So I definitely agree with a lot of what Jackie said about building bridges between the community and law enforcement. And it's not everyone is in their own corners and going about things their own way. I don't agree with violence by any means, although I do support Black Lives Matter. Having 4 adolescent young men and actually 1 adult child that is a male, I live in fear when they leave my home, and that is something that I don't think that I should have to do. So I am all for working with our local law enforcement, and I realize that this is not only local, but it's a national problem, and it is a problem that needs to be addressed locally, but also nationally. And I do believe in accountability. So do I feel like we don't need police officers? Absolutely not. When I call, I would appreciate if someone was there to answer, to come save me, right? To come help me, because they are here to serve the public. But in the same way, I feel like in order to serve the public, you have to know your public and be aware of the community that you serve, and also aware of your own bias. And if you're not able to do that, then you're not able to effectively serve the public. And so that would be my take on police reform and accountability. Definitely we need a community oversight committee, but not only a community oversight committee. I think that the recommendation of the community oversight committee needs to have some weight in disciplinary actions that take place. Not just, we have the committee, they've spoken, we're going to do what we want to do. I don't think that is appropriate. I think it's now time for a change, in law enforcement needs to be accountable. But that is only starting with law enforcement because of everything that is going on. There are things that are going on in our judicial system where people need to be held accountable. Judges need to be held accountable. There's a lot of lawyers need to be held accountable. We're just starting. We're at the tip of the iceberg, and I hope we don't stop there. I hope we continue, and not to flip everything upside down, but to see some change so that we are created equal. Everyone should be created equal, and all lives do matter, but they can't matter until Black Lives Matter.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I conveniently forgot to mute, so I was able to pick it up right there. And as we are right now at 6:31, I just want to point out that where we are, we're here at Meet the Candidates, hosted by Sonoma County 2020 Women's Suffrage Project. And we just heard from our candidates here that are running for their respective city council seats and their respective districts. And we were just talking about the public outcry around issues of police reform and defunding. And I found it quite refreshing that all of you had a very nuanced and detailed answer to that question, and definitely had your own voice. And I know that here we are, it is August 24th. We have a long time before November 3rd. So I imagine that you'll be asked that question many times over. And I hope all candidates are asked that question as well, because it is an important one. And I want to check in with our public right now. We are going over time a little bit. I don't see any more questions from the public around our event tonight. I want to make sure to give everybody time I do have a question here. This one is actually from Facebook, from Sheila Marie Barnhill. What are the candidates' thoughts, positions on the anti-vaxxers or the anti-mask movement and the intersection of COVID-19? So there's a lot of questions that are coming in from Facebook right now. I do have some help. Shout out to my husband who is helping me in another room relay those questions over to me. So just by show of hands, would anybody like to take this question about the intersection between anti-mask movement, anti-vax movement, and COVID-19? I saw Azmina and raise your hand right there. I'm going to give you a minute. So I will raise my hand when we need to wrap it up, and remember to unmute and go for answering that question.
Well, I definitely don't want that to be my closing answer, but, I think, it's about our numbers, and I think it's about making progress. We were doing well in Sonoma County, and then we weren't. People thought they could travel for business again, at business at the least, and then they're shut down, and so it's the things that we have to do to reopen our borders in that sense so that we can travel across, to Europe, to, outside, whichever, and just be able to regain our freedom and our mobility in that sense. So I know a lot of people are getting a little cagey with the whole thing and being told what to do. And I've encountered people that are just like, forget it all. If I die, I die. And, we just, we have the numbers. We have people that are actively infected and going into the hospitals, and people are really battling. And we've been fortunate in Northern California where we don't see it as it's not as apparent as folks in the South and Southern Georgia, where I have family, and it's just I was a little shocked to find out some folks that I knew were positive, and we just have to take it seriously so that we can get our economy and everything back on track. So.
Thank you for that, and for fielding that question. Once again, a very good sport.
I signed up for the whole thing and went at the last minute.
Don't worry, we won't let that be your final word about the intersection of COVID and some of the anti-mask kind of initiatives. And a reminder for all of those out there, we're not going to be able to get to all of your questions. Some of these Facebook questions are coming in rather rapidly right now. We have gone over our hour time, but we will continue on as long as everybody can. And I also want to make mention that our panelists here do have websites, and we will make sure that they key them into the chat area and say them at the very end as well, where you can find more information about their experience and whatnot. This is a Meet the Candidates. It's August 24th. It's the 19th Amendment Centennial Series, and there will be, I believe, many, many more opportunities for these candidates to be heard by the public. But I will throw out another question right now, a show of hands of who might be able to answer this one about the rental crisis here in Sonoma County. Schuyler, I know you made mention of it there in Healdsburg and some of the strides forward as well as the challenges. Does anybody, Jackie or Natalie, want to tackle rental housing or housing crisis here in Sonoma County? Natalie, I see you. Unmute. So I'm going to.
So I definitely believe that we need to have more affordable housing in Sonoma County. The question is, what is affordable housing in Sonoma County, right? What is affordable housing in Santa Rosa? Because what one deems to be affordable is not affordable for all. So in the development, I think we need to continue to look at options to develop Santa Rosa to create more housing, and with that, affordable low-income housing so people can work, live where they work. I feel like that is very important for people to have the opportunity do that. So finding incentives for builders, or however we can defer maybe some of the fees, however we can do that to assist getting the additional housing, I think would be great.
Great, very, very topical, very important question. And unfortunately, our hearts do go out to those people that are being displaced right now, losing their homes here in Sonoma County. We have been ravaged by fires, by natural disasters, and we had a housing shortage before some of those big events started, most notably in 2017. So that will be on the front burner. And I hate to use the word burner right there, but I did it anyway. As anybody takes a city council seat within Sonoma County in any of our cities. Lots of questions here. I want to just maybe throw this one directly at Jackie, and I'll have another one for you, Schuyler. But Jackie, would you like to answer how your identity affects your view on education here in, I'm going to be specific to Rohnert Park. It is somewhat of an educational hub in Sonoma County, being that it has Sonoma State University, and you do have 3 children that are school age. So how does your identity affect your views on education? How would you bring that to the Rohnert Park City Council and District 4?
That is, I work at the school, by the way. For me, the one thing that I will say, it has been my children. I will just talk about my children to just give that example, how that affects me. Again, we need to have more representation. We don't have that many people of color in our education system here. And a lot of times our children, especially those that are in between, find themselves lost. My own children have experienced that. And I had to step in with the position that I have right now to try to cover that, so that in the school where I work, particularly for the children that are there, to have a little bit of color. And that shouldn't be like that. And for me, as a person of color, and that really affects me in a way that also we have to prove that we are educated in order for people to listen to us. Not everybody have to do that. I am myself, I'm a full-time mom, I'm a full-time student, and I work full-time. Why? Because I want to teach my children and also the kids here in Roanoke Park to know that education is very important and representation is very important. I will say it again. I said, if you want to see the change, you have to be that change. And I walk the walk, I talk the talk, if that can be, and that will be in our education and my experience.
Thank you for that, Jackie. And for those that are maybe just tuning in or just saw me raise my hand, I had said earlier that I would let our panelists know a little timing right there, so that we could get in the questions. And so thank you, Jackie, for that, talking about education, representation, and how to make strides forward and be the change. Schuyler, I want to bring it back to you, and one of the questions that are here from the public. You had mentioned earlier being from a mixed race and multicultural yourself, being raised in Healdsburg, going to Healdsburg High, Santa Rosa Junior College, Sonoma State University. And earlier I had said that Jackie was the most experienced candidate, being that she had run previously as a candidate, but by no means did that mean that she was the most experienced human being. And, we all bring a myriad of experiences to what we do in life. And I would like to give you some time right now to talk about your experience and what you bring to the position and in running for Healdsburg City Council, and how that is multifaceted from your background and your experience, if you can share that with us now. Thank you. And I'll remind you also to unmute Skylaer. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, so I have been raised in Healdsburg, and when I was going to Healdsburg High School, I was the only Black student in my grade, so I definitely had I was also 2 years younger than a lot of the students in my grade, so I have a really unique experience. I loved the teachers there. They were amazing. I credit them for a lot of my educational achievements in life. But I definitely had issues with the administration where my mom had to step in, and some things that shouldn't have happened were happening, and unjust, and consequences were being held above my head that probably should not have been there. And so I see that, and I recognize that at Healdsburg, the school district is considering establishing ethnic studies, which I'm big supporter of, and I would like to see it become a graduation requirement. A lot of what I faced in school has to do with that we're not taught about different cultures or from that culture's perspective. So I would definitely love to see that, and that is the root of cultural awareness, really, that affects our larger city in general. I don't want to see our Latino population, Latinx population, being told to go back to where they came from, being told that they're not from here when they are a part of our culture and they're a part of what makes our city so strong and such a globally recognized market in the hospitality industry. So that's a huge, and having that perspective from someone that's felt like my voice isn't being heard, that's felt kind of in the shadows, I think is a huge asset to have to the city council. And my experience overall, like being the only Black woman or being the only Latino woman in a room, has definitely shaped a lot of my life. So I almost enjoy the challenge of like having people become acquainted with me. I was Miss Sonoma County and did attend a lot of Sonoma County Alliance meetings where I was either the youngest, the only Black person, the only whatever in the room, and addressing that and just seeing the differences about how people treat me differently, and also having that multicultural lens absorb all these issues that are going on in our county definitely gives me a strong experience to bring to council as well.
Thank you for that, Schuyler. And I know we had talked about some questions with all the candidates beforehand, and some of these public questions, I realize I'm not getting to all of you, but I really appreciate the richness of the questions that are being posed in the chat and in the Q&A. So I do appreciate that. Remember that this Meet the Candidates started at 5:30. We were going to go until 6:30. It's now 6:46. So I'm going to be wrapping it up and thanking everyone, as well as giving all of our candidates one last moment to say a few words. And I'm gonna limit those words because I know people will probably have to, get to their families. That's going to be something to juggle as a candidate, and as then potentially eventually as a city council person, juggling all of the issues that are at hand for the constituents and the time management, and then also taking care of yourself and taking care of your family. And you are all superstars in my book for even attempting to do this, for taking on the challenges. It is speaks volumes about all of you. So thank you for your actions. Thank you for being the change, as Jackie was saying, and striking forth. So I will start with you, Jackie. and I will do this for each of our candidates. If you can give us 3 words, they can all be verbs, they can all be adjectives, whichever you choose, but 3 words that you want people to know about you, and then also give us your website or contact information. So just 3 words so that we can know a little bit about you. I know I'm catching you off guard here. Remember to unmute and also give us your website and contact info.
All right, well, I'm going to start with the easiest one, which is my website. It's JackieElward.com. And our campaign phone number is 707-794-2114. We have a Facebook page, Jackie for City Council. The 3 thing for me, that is the challenging thing, because I don't like to talk about myself. I like other people to do it. I will say I am an organizer when it comes to labor. I am a fighter. And the other thing that I will say, the third word that I will say, I will say organizer, fighter, perseverant. Those are my 3 words.
Thank you, Jackie. So an organized fighter that has perseverance. I love it. And I realize going first, that was, you're also, again, a very good sport and able to think quick on your feet, because that was not pre-planned whatsoever. So I'm going to go on to Natalie and pose the same question. If you can give us 3 words that describe you and give our listeners, our watchers, those that are viewing, a little bit more information about you, and share your contact information too. And Jackie, if you can share all of that information that you just did in the chat area and key that in while Natalie is speaking here. So take it away, Natalie. Thank you.
Thank you. So my website is Natalie Rogers for SantaRosa.com. There's also a link where you can email me from there. And keep it short, sweet, and simple. I think that my 3 words would probably be champion for change.
Look at Natalie go right there. That is pretty professional there, Natalie. A champion for change. And you talked about change earlier, so thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for giving your information on the chat feature while I go to our next candidate. And I want to make mention that Jackie Ellward is running for Rohnert Park District 4, the City Council seat. And you just heard from Natalie Rogers, and she's running for City Council seat of Santa Rosa, District 7. So that's District 7 in Santa Rosa. You just heard from Natalie Rogers. And now I will be moving to Schuyler. Schuyler, if you can unmute and give us not only your contact information, but also your 3 words that give us a description of you for our listeners and our viewers. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go to my website at www.skylarpalacios.com. And my name is spelled a little funny. It's Skylaer. So there's 2 vowels in there. So just be careful. And then my email as well reflects my name. It's skylarpalacios for Healdsburg@gmail.com. And my 3 words would be definitely integrity, love, and determination to figure whatever problems out that are necessary.
So integrity, love, and determination. You just heard from Schuyler Palacios, and she is running for Healdsburg City Council seat. That's a wide open seat. There's no districts in Healdsburg. So she is one of the candidates running for, I believe, 3 open seats in the Healdsburg City Council. And I see you nodding yes to that. There are 3 seats available. So, and I want to move on now to Azmina. Azmina Hanna, she joined us. You may not have seen her on our promo because she joined us today. She is running for Santa Rosa City Council in District 5, the downtown district. And Azmina, if you can give us your 3 words that describe you for our listeners and viewers, as well as your contact information for those panelists that haven't had a chance to key in contact information to the chat area, you can do it now. Thank you.
Sure. Well, I think I'll take the lead of the other candidates and start off with the difficult part. My website is Hanna, Hanna, 4, it's FOR, City Council 2020.com. So if you wanted to reach me, you have any questions, I keep it simple, red, R-E-D, at hannaforcitycouncil2020.com. So if I have to describe myself in 3 words, that's a challenge. I do a lot of different things all the time. Friends, I have a ton of energy. I don't know how that fares out because I don't see it. But I think I'm pretty optimistic. Most positions and things that I've held and work that I do, I have to be pretty innovative. So I would say I am innovative. I'm often charged to come with fresh new ideas and stronger, better solutions for things. I enjoy that. So I'd say I'm innovative. And did I say optimistic? These are challenging times. So I think aside from that, I'm quite resilient. I've been through a lot. We have to go through a lot. I hope that resilience and things that I've been through, I can share that with the young people and give people a little motivation to push on and do better. So that's what I'm hoping for our town.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. And you just heard from Azmina Hanna. She's running for District 7, Santa Rosa City Council seat.
Oh, District 5.
Sorry. I knew I was going to mess that up at some point tonight. So Azmina is actually running for District 5 in Santa Rosa for the City Council. And she gave us her 3 words, optimistic, innovative, and resilient. I want to make mention, Schuyler, now if you can wave to everybody. Schuyler let us know that her words were integrity, love, and determination. She's running for Healdsburg City Council. And then we also had Natalie Rogers running for District 7 of the Santa Rosa City Council. And her words were champion for change. And Natalie waved to us right there. Let us know. Thank you, Natalie. And Jackie Ellward, who's running for District 4 of Rohnert Park. Her words were, she was an organizer, fighter, and has perseverance. So I so appreciate all of you. I feel like we were honored to have all of you here tonight to give us this great introduction to all of you. I encourage everybody to go to those websites, to contact your candidates, to know the issues, to become aware, and to definitely, if you haven't already, register to vote, and to vote in November 3rd up and down the ballot. Every single vote matters, and your voices need to be heard, and the voices of our candidates here tonight need to be heard as well. We're getting lots of thanks in all of our chat rooms and whatnot. Lots of congratulations to all of our candidates for being here. Great candidates, great opportunity and platform and a chance to meet all of you. Please, everybody, have a great campaign, and good luck to all of you. So you guys can see those also on Facebook. There's lots of comments there, and I want to make mention that this has been Meet the Candidates, a 19th Amendment Centennial Series event hosted by Sonoma County 2020 Women's Suffrage Project. We do have more events coming up through Women's Equality Day on August 26th, tomorrow night at 5:30. We will be featuring an oral history, her story, with Carol Kawase, who is a member of the Japanese American Citizens League. And on Wednesday the 26th, also at 5:30, there will be a discussion on intersectional feminism that ushers us into the next 100 years of greatness for all women in our country. We are champions, I think, all of us, for change. And Natalie, I love that you said those words. I want to make mention also to our viewers and to our participants that a recording of tonight's event will be available on our Facebook page as soon as we go off air, and later on this evening it will also be available on the Sonoma County 2020 Women's Suffrage Project website, as well as our YouTube channel, which you can find all of our 19th Amendment Centennial events and their recordings. So once again, thank you to our candidates tonight. I wish you all well. I wish you the best of campaigns, and I will be looking for updates and attending further opportunities with all of you to be in forums, discussions, and debates online, and potentially, if we do flatten the curve, maybe even in person. So we're waving bye to everybody, the virtual wave right there. Thank you so much. Remember, it's Azmina Hanna with District 5 of Santa Rosa City Council going for that seat. Jackie Ellward of District 4 Rohnert Park City Council, Schuyler Palacios of Healdsburg City Council going for that seat, and Natalie Rogers, District 7 of Santa Rosa. Look for their campaign sites, be engaged, and vote. Thank you so much, everybody, and we are done for this evening. Good night.
Thank you all, please.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.